All right, folks, here we go. We're back with Morphy and Anderson. The match continues. We have game 59, held on December 28th, 1858. Okay, Anderson coming off a win, so let's see if he can keep it going. He's down 6-2. All right, the first to win 7 games is the winner of the match. So Morphy's knocking on the door, but Anderson's coming off the win. Morphy has the white pieces. He starts off with E4. Anderson with the French defense. All right, Morphy taking the center with the 2 pawns. And look at this. Look at Anderson. G6, folks, question mark. All right, making dark squares are weak around the king side. You usually don't see this. You usually don't see the fianchetto or whatever you say, G6. All right, so now you got Morphy playing the bishop to D3, and here's Anderson, okay? He made the home for the bishop there on G7. Okay, usually you'll see if you put the bishop on G7, usually the D pawn, in cases like this, many openings, you'll see these are more modern openings where you do stuff like, you know, just to show you. You play G6, and then you put the bishop on G7, and normally you got this this D6 pawn stays here and protects this a little bit. You know, protecting the F6 square. But as you can see, the French, well, you're supposed to play D5. E6 is supposed to support D5. Okay? But then you go like this. You're not going to see that in modern play. All right? But anyway, here you go. 1858. Okay, bishop G7. And now you got Morphy. Look at this. Bishop E3. We've seen it once before, folks. Let me look it up. Let me pull back into the glossary or whatever you call this. In the back of the book, right? Oh, here you go. The index. All right, the index. There you go. The index, let's see, French defense. Let me make sure I got this. All right, I think it was game 40. Let's see, on page 43, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go all the way back. This was way back in the, I think it was against Meek. I looked it up. Here you go. Second round of the American Chess Congress. Morphy versus Meek. I was right. How about that? You had a similar thing. Same exact. Let's see. Let's go back just for fun, right? And make a little connections. You know, you might say to yourself, when did I see this? It was game 5, folks. Okay, way back, game 5. You had E4. You got that E6. Morphy takes the center with the 2 pawns. Look at this, same thing. Question mark for Meek. Bishop comes out. Here goes the bishop to G7. And Morphy bringing the other bishop out all the same. This was his move, right? And then you had, here you go, look at this. They say knight to E7. See, the idea not to block the bishop on G7. You know, his scope over here is good. He's aiming down here. But you put the bishop, you put the knight here so you don't block the bishop. That's the idea, this E6 and G6, but it's really not good creating holes on F6 and H6, the dark squares, folks. But now, get this, it even says right here in the notes to this game, Meek played knight to E7, okay? And there's a note, Anderson continued here, pawn to C5, C game 59. Well, that's where we are, folks. Who would have thought, right? Seems like forever, but we got here. Okay, game 59. All right, so let's get to it again. Here we go. The moves, right? Same as the other game. Up until right here, after the bishop comes out for Morphy to E3, defending D4, folks. Defending D4. See that? He brings the bishop. Okay, and here's a little note. This arrangement of the 2 bishops was one which Morphy was very fond against the French defense. Interesting, right? Let's try this in modern play. Let's see how the Grandmaster punishes you, you know, or the Master. I don't know. Give it a whirl. You see what they do to you. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it just fell out of play. It might be good. There might not be a problem with it. Sometimes these things just fall in and out of vogue, so you surprise someone with this. You say, look at this guy. 2 bishops behind the center pawns, right? But anyway, now, like they said, Anderson continued with c5. Meek brought the knight out in game 5 that we saw, right? We were touching on it. Okay, and I think we went over this line when we looked at it. c5, okay? Now you'd say, well, what's wrong? Look, he's giving me a pawn, but then in dives the bishop, and he's going to win the exchange, right, folks? But I remember looking at this because I like this. I like this. Look, you give up the exchange, right? But look at what you get for it now. You got 3 minor pieces developed. You got the queen on this beautiful, let me just make a dumb move. Look, beautiful diagonal, diving in. She's getting ready to steal a rook in the corner, right? So again, how does black avoid it? Only one move. Let's see, can he I don't think he can do this. Can he bring the queen? No, because then you got this. And now you're gonna lose that rook for sure. Look at that. Okay? No way. White quickly takes over that dark diagonal, right? So the only move is f6, right? So that's another pawn move for black, folks. Look, you gave up the exchange, but look at what you get for it. You got 3 minor pieces developed, right? 2 bishops, the knight on d2. You got the queen on this long diagonal. She's ready to leap in, okay? Which causes black to waste another tempo by just pushing a pawn. To develop, so you don't fall back in tempos, you got to develop pieces, folks. Pawn pushes don't count as developing moves, okay? So, there's another pawn move by black. Now, look at this. You could leap the knight here. And where do you think that's going, folks? Look at our outpost. Look at our outpost on d6, another feature. Another plus for us here. Look at this. The bishop is protecting this pawn. You see him, folks? Okay, he brings a knight out, right? This bishop over here is protecting our pawn, which gives us a nice outpost. All right, but look at this. You develop another guy, okay? Look at what we got, folks. We got everything going here. We got 4 minor pieces out after this move, and you got the queen. You got something. Look at this, just to show you. Look at this. You just waste the tempo. Look, this is what happens when you fall behind. Let's say we give white 1 more extra tempo by burning a move here for black with a6, and look at this. You go here with check, right? He moves over there, and I mean, heck, you got crazy moves like this. You know, the knight's coming in. You can't take because remember you lose this guy over there. You know, beautiful stuff. I mean, even burning that move. Put it this way. You don't even have to burn this move, right? This a6. Let's just look at it. Look at what Shredder thinks the best move for black is. To just move the king over. Again, no developing, folks. You move the king over. All right, let's give it to him, right? And I mean, now you get your knight planted right in there on the outpost. Very good. Already decided. Another king move. Look at this. Now, according to the evaluation, look at this, folks. You got, it's basically even. Look, they're even giving it to black. Well, microcosm, right? 0.05 towards black. But really, folks, which side would you rather play? White's got the pieces out. He's got the space advantage, right? He's got a beautiful knight on d6 wedged in there, supported by the pawn, right? That the knight keeps back this guy, right? Hard for whoop, you'd never want to trade like this. It's a mouse slip. You would never want to trade. That bishop on c8 is blocked in there. He's got no game, folks, no game. Right? So you got your knight. That knight is worth a rook on d6. That knight up there on d6 is worth a knight. So did you really give up the exchange? You know what I mean? Look at what you're getting for it. You basically got a lead in development. And you go from there. These are the type of games, you know, very hard for black, cramped. What kind of development does he hope for, right? Meanwhile, the white game plays itself, you know. It's easily to see your objective is to get that king. You launch the pawns up, maybe you rip it open, right? You rip up maybe something like this. You even get your rook on the H file. You don't even, maybe you don't even have to castle. You just tuck your king over a step or two, or maybe you do castle. You know, look at this. Now he's deciding to break. Let's see. So he pushes this up, because if he takes, well, we take, right? Here comes our check with the queen. Okay, and we got a big plus. Look at it. Already it's, oh boy, look, what are we going here for? Let's see. You give this guy to, you pull him off. You look at that. Beautiful fork for the knight, right? All right, there you go. And now you only got, okay, you look, you're not up by, well, it's +4. I mean, forget it. The knight's pinned. He's in trouble, right? You got the queen for the 2 rooks, you could say, right? And you're up the exchange, bishop and rook versus knight and bishop, right? But you got all the play, folks. You're targeting that king. You are up material-wise, you are. But you're looking to really rip it open, get the rook in the game. Look, you go after the knight. Remember, the knight's pinned, folks. He can't take that bishop. And look at this. You got nowhere to go with the rook. Look at this. Didn't even see that coming. What are you going to do, right? Look at this. Oh, so now he gets him. Big deal. Right? All right. So anyway, folks, we got this one in the bag, right? Do we have to go further? Let's go back, okay? So there's just one little example. It could go 1,000 other ways. We all know, but I mean, obviously, okay. When I played this E5, Shredder said to march forward, right? So now look at this. Now the knight's coming in. The other knight, he's got the check over here. All right, we threaten the queen. All right, he takes care of that outpost, I guess. But now we throw the other knight in. We got. Let's see. Goes here. We win this guy. So we get the exchange back. Yep, okay, he takes here. And where we go from there, folks? Remember, I don't know. Okay, we castle. What if he does this, folks? Look, all right, we castle. Can he win this pawn? No, he can't. He can't take over here, folks, because look, we got the knight fork, right? And we also have the bishop pin, I believe. Oh, well, what could he do, right? What could he do? He can't do either one. Either one. We win the queen, right? I guess like this. Well, now we take a check. Oh, forget it. It falls apart, right? When it gets bad, it goes from bad to worse. Either way, you lose, folks. You lose these, right? There you go. Either way wins. I mean, come on. However you want to do it, right? All right. So there you go. Just to show you, the ideas flow easily. You know, you see them when black tries to play. I mean, if this is what Shredder thinks is best, it's king to f8 and then king to g7. I mean, he's getting nothing done really. He moved the king over there only to be, you know, he still gets slaughtered, right? So I mean, the whole objective of these lines, you know, you give the exchange, but you get a lot for it. You get development, you get an easy plan, you get a nice outpost, right? These are the things we're looking for, folks. All right. So enough of that. He plays this. Now, guess what? That's a Morphy type line, I say, right? I mean, he's really got a lot of gusto, right? You go for the gusto with Morphy style. But okay, what does the man himself play? He took it easy, all right? He plays C3, okay? So they swap the pawns over here, all right? And now you got the knight coming here. Now they're attacking D4, right, folks? They're attacking. You got the bishop on G7 and now the knight on C6 attacking your D pawn. So what does Morphy do? Well, he doesn't bring the knight to F3. He brings it here to E2. All right, they're protecting D4, right? And now you got Anderson with the knight to E7. All right, Meek played it on move what? What was that? That was what? Move 4, right? Well, Anderson now plays it on move 7. Okay? Now it says here, black has already given himself a most unsatisfactory game And a consistent plan of development is hard to find. Here, knight to f6 looks a little more promising. All right, so I don't know. You castle, and you know he goes after the bishop, I guess, right? You're going for the bishop here, maybe. I mean, big deal. You go here. There you go. He takes the bishop here. Now you get the open F file, though, folks. All right, you get that open F file. I'm just saying. Okay, that could be dangerous for black. You tack down the F file, but you know it's a game. I mean that pawn from the F pawn taken on E3 now solidifies D4, right? Okay, but it's a game. Who knows? Who knows where it would go, right? Another way to look at it, maybe. Okay, so that's what the old master suggests. Maybe knight F6 was a little better. Okay, now look at this. Look at Shredder. Okay. Stop the knight. You protect E4, even though the bishop's handling it, right? You bolster that E4 pawn, and you stop the knight from coming to G4. Well, look at this. So now he goes for the other bishop, right? He's going to get the bishop pair one way or the other, I guess, okay? But there you go. You see, also realize he gets the bishop pair, but he moved that knight 1, 2, 3 times, right? Look at this, folks. Count them. Right, count that knight coming in. 1, 2, 3. Right, and now we recapture. He took with the knight, moves 3 times. He takes a piece, the bishop on D3, which only moved once. And realize when we're recapturing, we're developing our queen. So that's a good use of a tempo, right? So now look at what happens. We got our castle, the king's castle. We got 3 pieces developed, right? So, you know, black gets the bishop here, but he gives white tempos. You see, it's like a scale, folks. You give something and you get something in return, right? All right, whole game of chess. But anyway, so knight F6, that's what we were talking about. Some of the ideas, right? But Anderson went knight to E7, doesn't want to block his dark square bishop. So he puts the knight on E7. Okay. So anyway, Morphy castles, Anderson castles, right? And here we got the queen knight developing. All right, Morphy gets his last minor piece into the battlefield. And now you got D5. Looks like a good move, right? You got to play that sooner or later. You're playing the French. You play E6 to support D5. That's the whole idea, right? So now, it even says here to stop white's, they're saying to stop white's D5. I don't know. Let's just make a move of the king over here. They're saying D5, right? If they traded, okay, now you're hitting the knight. I mean, all masters say is that Anderson plays D5 to stop Morphy from playing D5, hitting the knight, right? Look, you recapture, still hitting the knight. The knight swings here. I don't know. I mean, I was looking at this. It's still a game, folks. It's still a game. I don't know. Maybe I let the engine run longer. Maybe they'll slowly get something. But, I mean, at this point, all right, knight wants to hop here. He takes the bishop pair, right? He wins the bishop pair. Again, the knight made many moves, folks. Now we look at this. We develop our queen by recapturing. He plays this because he wants to get his light square bishop in the game, right? They both have isolated d-pawns, but obviously, looking at this, white has the space advantage, right? It's a close one, though. Half a pawn. Half a pawn's worth, according to the evaluation. All right. Maybe black could go this way. Maybe this was a better way to go or just another way to go. Okay, but here we go. Let's get into the game. Anderson understandably plays D5. It's a common idea in the French. E6 supports D5. And now, very important, we mentioned it before. Maybe it was the Meek game. I don't remember. It was definitely Morphy playing against the French. You don't want to take here, folks, because now, all right, Shredder likes this, but look. You take back with the pawn, and now all of a sudden you got the bishop. The bishop is ready to fly out, right? The bishop is ready to go. Here he goes, right out into the game. He's got this diagonal now. He has some scope. He comes here. He develops easily, right? Now, they both have an isolated D-pawn, but again, You give something, you get something. Yes, you have an isolated D pawn, black. So does white. And now black's bishop is, light square bishop's free to get out. Okay, oh, actually, if he goes here, you can't take down there because now, look at this, you get the B file. Only square for the white queen. Look at this. Now, look at this. You got a fork going. You're going to lose the light square bishop. See how things lead? You think you win a pawn, folks. Remember, that B pawn is a common poison pawn. You want to grab that? Get ready for some problems. Looks like you got a, you win a pawn, but it usually leads to many bad situations. Okay, so in that case, black would win the bishop on D3. All right. So anyway, there you go. Look at that. Those are the type of moves you want to trick your opponent on. Look at him. Oh, take my B pawn. See what happens, right? You develop your bishop now, but the key point I'm bringing up is white would not want to take on D5. Crazy, right? Now look at the difference. What do you think's better? Morphy advances, of course. Now the light square bishop can't get out. The E6 pawn still blocks him. And look at this. You got your two pawns, the D pawn and the E pawn, blocking out, mouse slip, folks, blocking out the dark square bishop. See this? You not to mention you got a space advantage, and this E pawn, again, mouse slip. That E pawn on E5 is controlling. Look at the hole now, folks. Now it's an outpost. It's an outpost. F6, supported by E5. White pawn on E5. That's an outpost. You sink a knight in there. You sink the bishop in there. There's no black pawns that could boot him out. And it's right up in the king's castle, right? Very, very rude. If white could get a piece in there, whoa, that would be like a bone in the throat of black, right? So let's see where it goes. E5 for Morphy. And now you got, okay, Anderson's trying to chisel away at that pawn on E5. Okay, Morphy supporting that E5 pawn with F4. And Anderson takes, question mark. The exchange was a mistake, helping white's game. Instead, he should play pawn to A6 to keep out the hostile knight, from leaping in here and maybe diving into D6. Again, folks, an outpost. An outpost. No black pawns can boot that knight out of there. All right. So you play A6 to keep the hostile knight out. Okay? And then black would, they say here, black would then develop his queen side. After A6, keep the knight out of B5, and you develop your queen side, meaning the bishop. And then you swing your rook over or something, right? The queen rook. But now notice what's happening though too on A6. Okay. Now look at B6 now. Okay, the black queen covers it, but now the knight swings here. He could go maybe with some support. He could go there, or he could come to C5. Right? So okay, let's see what would happen. Now he'd go here, maybe trying to chop off the bishop. Look, you pull the bishop back. Right? You save the bishop. You are retreating, but you're going to boot the knight back, so the knight's going to lose time. You're going back, losing time, but you're going to play A3, boot the knight out. Okay? He goes after your knight over there, but you park him on C5 for now. All right, he hits that guy. All right, you take the bishop. That was the bad bishop for black, right? But he might be ready to play it to B5 next. Who knows? But you take this guy off. All right, fine. You go after, I guess you develop the queen here. What about A3? Why not A3? He goes back. Right? Okay, what's better? You play this, he goes back. All right, you develop the bishop here. Bishop comes back, right? So you notice black's knight went from C6 to B4 back to C6. White's bishop went from D3 to B1 back to D3. See, they both go back to it. So nobody gained or lost the tempo there, understand? So you'll see that's a common one, folks. That's a common idea, okay? the bishop retreats. You want to save this light square bishop many times when the knight leaps to b4. You bring him back, and then you hit that knight with a3. You're not really losing time. Common theme that's seen. I mean, now what if you do this, right? He goes for him. Okay, you take back, and he goes back now this way. You expand. But now your queen's kind of over there on the queen side. You might have wanted it to be ready to fight on the king side with an attack, you know. So you got your queen on the wrong side of the board. But I don't know. Maybe that's another different approach, you know. So you hop the knight here. Maybe that was better, right? You trade off. And then they like the queen going after the knight. The knight goes back. Bishop comes up. He hops this guy here, right? Going after the dark square bishop. Now, again, g4 will boot that knight out. So are we really wasting time? Okay, he takes back this way. Yeah, but black might have a game here. It might. Its valuation's very close, right? So, all right, there's one way. Maybe that's a little better. A little mixing it up on the queen side with knight to b4, right? If a6, if white was to play knight to a4, and then the other knight comes up to b4, and you mix it up over there, and maybe that's a game. I mean, forget it, folks. The French, I mean, it's been around forever. They're still playing it at top level, so it hasn't been figured out yet. But anyway, let's get back to the game, right? After this, no a6. He trades, holy smokes. So Morphy takes back. Now we got the open F-file, right? Open F-file. Now again, remember, the pawn, after they take back, white remains with a pawn on E5. Look at the outpost on F6, right? Not to mention, we got a space advantage on the king side. That's where we're playing, folks. We're trying to go. You see how our pawns point, D4 and E5 point towards the king. That's our little pawn chain. It points to where we should be playing on the king side. See, it points like an arrow going this way, right? To the king side. You got more space. White has more space on the king side. You're going to play, you put your pieces over there, and you're playing for the king side attack, right? So opening this F-file doesn't make sense for black, but he does it, okay? He does it, and now what do we got? Let's check the time, folks. Hold on. What do we got here? What time is it? Let's see. What do we got? Oh, 5:41. All right. I got a few more minutes. All right. So now we got the rook exchange is recommended for black. Okay. Exchange those rooks. Queen takes back. And what does it say about this? After this, the blah blah blah. Okay. It's saying here, right? It says Anderson plays this, okay? He plays a6. Having opened the F-file, he should now play rook takes rook before the text moves. So after this, then they're recommending playing a6. That's the old master say. Now you do it, okay? Look at what the difference is. Schroeder even, he likes that knight to b4 move still. Look at the idea, though. What do you do, folks? Bishop to b1. All right, he wants to go back. Okay? With the bishop on b1, you obviously don't want to keep your queen rook on a1 locked over there. You want to swing him over to that open F-file, right? Well, anyway, you play. This might give black some time, because white would have to take the queen off the F-file. He's got to move the bishop again. Look at this. He's going out. He's relentless. He's going after that guy. You pull him back. Right, here you go. You knock him back with the a3 move, right? Look at this. He doesn't even want. He goes after your queen, right? You block with this guy. Oh, see what you're doing. Let's see. Yeah, okay. No, the knight can't come in, folks, because the bishop. So, all right. He goes to a6 now, huh? All right, so it's another game. Look at it. It's so close, right? it's close. 0.13, really? Is that anything worth writing home about? The knight moves, and you could see what's coming. Maybe the G5, because the knight on F4 is pinned to the queen, right? That might be coming. So you get that queen off the F file. So this doesn't win. For instance, if you do something stupid, now look, see, now you're gonna lose Well, if you take here, look at this. You come down. Look at this on the light squares, folks. If he goes back, boom, he goes there. All right, okay, he just kills a move. Big deal. He goes over. There it is. It's over, folks. See how quick? On the light squares. That's why that bishop is so key to an attack. All right, but look at this. On this, he'd have to sack this one. And now he has F8 to go to, right? If you go over here, he could come. All right, he could go there even. You're going to want to take him. Queen's looking to capture on D4, right? So you got to... Now he comes... Oh, look at this. Now he comes in on there. Wow. It's a seesaw battle. It looks like black's up a little bit. He's up a minor piece, right? Oh, you got the rook, though. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think black will exchange here. Yeah. There you go. All right, I think black's got it, though. Black's got this. He got the bishop here, too. And he's got 2 knights for the rook. All right, but anyway. Beautiful how many different scenarios crop up, you know. This is all like that B5 line again. Knight to B4 line again. There it is. Boom. The old masters say to take on F, you know, rook takes rook, and then after the recapture, they're saying to play A6. Well, Shredder likes the knight to B4. All right, who knows, right? But let's get into what happens. Anderson playing this before trading rooks. Big mistake. All right, so let's look at what Morphy does. It'll start to make sense. He plays queen to D2. Gets that queen developed off the back rank, and what, folks? Linking them rooks up. So now if black was to take, he takes back with the rook. And now look at what happens in essence. If you go back, look, 4 rooks in the game. And now after this move, only 2 rooks in the game. And look at what 2 remain. Basically, white's got the rook on F1 still, even though it's the queen rook and it recaptured. The point is, rook on F1, what, folks? On the open file, where the rooks belong, on the open file. Look at black. He doesn't have his F rook on F8 anymore, right? He's got the queen rook, but what's that doing on A8? Nothing. He's dead wood, folks. So after the trade, it's basically black surrendering. He'll be surrendering the F file. You see? That's no good. Now, when he takes... Before this, if he didn't play A6, if he takes now, which was recommended, well, now the queen has to take back, right? And now you just give black some general developing moves, right? Here's one from Shredder. There you go, right? You pin over here. If he just let's just say he develops here. Now that could maybe be trouble with this, and then he could leap in. I don't know, but let's just say a developing move, queen to C7, right? Now black's setting up to throw the rook on the open file where it belongs, and what, folks? Attacking the enemy queen. The queen's going to have to, white's going to have to move the queen. He's going to have to use another tempo to reposition the queen, right? Meanwhile, all right, okay, here you go. He would block. All right, he would block with the bishop, but the point being, the rooks want to be on the open file, and if the queen's on the open file, you may be able to get a tempo on the enemy queen by moving your rook to attack it. I mean, they're not going to trade, right, folks? We all know the queen's worth more, right? It's funny how the more powerful piece has to run, right? That's the kind of oxymoron in chess. The more powerful piece is when challenged, has to run and hide in a sense, a maneuver, right? So it's kind of funny aspect of this game. But we all know you're not going to trade, right? You'd have to move, and by moving, you're using another tempo, see? Tempos, folks, it's what it's all about. Now, again, Morphy, after Anderson's A6, he goes, I'm going to develop my queen. So if he wants to trade, which would be dumb, I'm going to recapture and take advantage of my opponent's stupidity, right? He would take over the F-file. All right, so there's now we're going to see similar things coming up. But Anderson's smart enough not to trade. He knows not to just relinquish the F-file to Morphy, right? So what does he do? Well, now he swings the knight up to B4 like we've seen. He's going after that bishop. Now, Morphy doesn't bring the bishop back. I wonder why, folks. What does Shredder say to do? What does Shredder say to do after that? Does it make sense to you? Look, we're going to try that idea. This is why you got to just... look, you learn little pieces, little puzzles, little side puzzles, little patterns, right? You know this idea, bishop coming here to save the bishop because that bishop is key to your attack, that light square bishop. And you wasted time moving the bishop back, but as we said, you're going to hit that black knight on B4 with A3, and when he leaps back to C6, he's giving back the tempo you just lost by moving the bishop back, right? So there you go, no loss of time. But look at why it doesn't work. You see it screaming at you, right? The rook now would take, and you can't take with your other rook, right? It's the whole point of developing the queen at D2. You can't. Now you got to recapture with your king, and how stupid is that? Because now he's exposed on the open F-file. Black's going to get a tempo on you, right? He's going to move. Maybe he'll move the queen. He's not going to do this. Develop the queen. Right? You hit this guy. All right, look at this. He doesn't even have to move his knight. He develops the bishop. Where's the black rook going next, folks? Where's it going? It's going F8, right? To hit the king and take over the F-file. I mean, he can't take over here, as you can see, right? I mean, we all see that one, right? There's the jokes for this lesson, right? There's the joke. All right. So now, if he pins, where's the rook go, folks? Where's he go, right? Open C-file? No! Get the tempo, right? Get the tempo, folks. All right, he goes over here. Now, look how beautiful. The black rook took over the F-file. All right? So, okay, he moves his knight back because he's not doing anything over here now. All right, so anyway, there you go, right? We got it going on. We understand the battle of the open file. You see how it works? Morphy's little move. See, Anderson missing his chance. Shredder says he should take now, like the old masters recommended. Same thing. So he plays A6, big mistake. Now he's able to develop the queen. I mean, here, Shredder likes it now, but he was saying to trade rooks, right? If he trades rooks, let's say if he does this, right? Now, okay, if you take with the king, we saw what can happen, right? We just saw it with white. If he takes with the queen, now look, folks, queen to D2. Where do you think the white rook's going next? To the open file, right? Okay, look, just throw a move. Here you go. Develop this guy. Open file, right? Attack the queen. Gain a tempo. He's got to move it back, right? So he's swish-washing back and forth, right? He would have loved to be able. He would have loved to be able to do this. Look, he plays this. He plays that, right? Let's not trade. Let's just do a dumb move. This. He develops the queen. Now when we take, what do, folks? You take with your other rook, right? Beautiful. Now it's like a flip of what we saw earlier. Now it's black who owns the F-file. Now it's black who has the rook on F8. Now, White's rook could, luckily, he's got all his pieces developed. He could challenge right away, and that's what you do. See? Shredder sees it. You challenge. You fight for the open file. That's the highway of the game right there. This is what you want to control, the main highways of attack. And anyway, okay, so what was bad about Black's scenario was after this, right? There's no way the Black rook on a8 could take back here, right? So, okay, Morphy likes to do this. You got the bishop now, right? I believe the bishop. Oh no, the knight comes up, right? Knight here. Okay, going after the light square bishop. No, you don't pull it back. It doesn't work, folks. Doesn't work now. Can't do it. All right, he uses the other bishop to pin this guy. If you notice, see the knights are linked up. They protect one another. Well, now when this one goes on the offense after that bishop on d3, well, only the queen's protecting the knight on e7. Well, now it's pinned. Now it's pinned to the queen, right? So, what does he do now? Well, he grabs his bishop. Okay, queen takes. Black has the bishop here. Whoop-de-doo. They're both stifled by the pawn structure, right? For the time being. Okay, and now, okay, queen takes back. Now, all right, black developing, right? Got to get those pieces off the back rank. Okay, the queen swings over to the king side, ready to do some damage, right? If he wants to develop somewhere, I don't know, where are you going to move? The knight's going to take if you go there. Well, you drop this guy, right? So put some pressure on the base of the pawn chain, black's pawn chain, e6. All right, so anyway, black wants to get out of the pin, right? He gets that, moves the queen over so the knight's not pinned anymore. So now the knight can leap in the game. And here you go. Shredder likes this move. That's an outpost. F6 is an outpost, folks. Well, he plants a piece in there. Now, if he takes with the pawn, and that pawn is now a passed pawn, right? He's a passed pawn. All right, he blocks the file. But hey, you hit that guy out of there. He's just repositioning his knight. That's all he's doing. Now black's eyeing e4. That could be an outpost. Now, we wouldn't want to do it right away because white has it covered. They trade, and now the pawns are busted up. No more outposts. And, you know, that's not that pawn's very weak. I mean, he does have the light square bishop. The queen comes here, I guess, yeah. He's going to plant it there, protect that for now. All right, it's still you got white a slight edge here. You got that f6 pawn. You're gonna play this guy up to protect it. Now he's a protected pass pawn, right, folks? And there's nothing black can't stop that from. He can't play after this. He can't play this up. He can't do that. So I'm sure that's coming sooner or later. All right, he wins this one. They trade. He's going after d4. You're protecting, right? All right. Keep the attack going. Don't trade those queens, because then that pawn on f6 is not as valuable, right? You could cause some mate threats on g7 with the queen, right? Dark squares are weak. He's looking to come in, folks. Maybe, you know, do something like this. All right, push, right? And there you go. Look at this. Now he's in trouble. Now he's in trouble. Right, rook's going to swing to the H file. All right, he's going to have to give him up. He's going to have to give it up. Look, forget about it. It's all over. Mate and 5. We see it coming. I mean, if he doesn't do that, what's he going to do? All right, he blocks over there. Nice, right? Nice. I mean, why go crazy? Just take this guy, right? We got the game in the bag. All right, wait, you go here. All right, he blocks. Well, now we're going to win the queen this way. See that? All right. So we win him that way. Okay, but what? Oh, look at this one. Look at this one. Watch this. All right, he likes to do it that way. I like to do it this way. Look, you take there, he takes. You come in, you take the other one. See that? And then you go there, and then you get mate. See? You get mate. Oh, he likes it this way. All right, my mistake, Shredder. There you go. Do it that way. Right? Do it however you want, as long as you get the mate. Right? Now, there was one other little thing here. He blocks with the queen. Right, where you could win it. He blocks with the queen and you win it. Now, what if on this he just moves, right? Well, then you're gonna take that guy, and then when he takes this guy, I mean, you know, come on, it's over, right? This. All right, you're getting ready to go in. You just give the check, and there it is. Look, see? Nice, right? All right, so little quick patterns to pick up. How to follow through in your attack, right? That's what you're learning here. Okay, So anyway, see how that F pawn is crucial? It's crucial. It's a what do they call that? A spearhead, you know, to the attack. A battering ram. Well, I don't know what the heck, you know. It's key to the attack. Controlling that key square G7 made, you know, you got threats being pushed. Okay, so even this, you chase him away, he goes there, no good, right? No good. All right. So anyway, White has the space advantage. Here's an idea, you know, but Morphy doesn't play that. Okay, what does he play? Well, he plays the knight here, and it says this gives Black the opportunity, which he does not grasp, of knight to F5. Okay? All right, Shredder says take. And now, all right, if you trade on F5, now Black takes back. You don't want to take back this way. What happens, folks? For one, you lose a pawn. All right, obvious. Material loss, no good. And you also get this guy. He's a protected pass pawn now. Now, you're not going to move up yet, but near the end game, maybe, you know. But heck, you lose a pawn outright. And it's a center pawn, very bad. So you can't take that way. You got to take this way towards the center, and you gain more center control, right? But it's close. Who knows? It's a game. Now, the light square bishop for Black is bad right now. He's a bad bishop. He's blocked by his own pawn structure. But he might be able to, you know, to maneuver, and even if he is traded for the knight, you know, who knows? This might have been the way Black should have went, right? This is what they're recommending. After this, plug F5 with the knight. No problem, right? But look at this now. Look at this. After this move, what does Anderson do? All right, he plays rook over here. Nothing going on the queen side. He moves his rook. I guess he was so anxious to get that rook. As we saw, it was dead wood over there on A8. He probably knew, oh, I got to get this guy in the game. And he finally put it on the open C file. It's an open file, but nothing's going on over there. It's all happening over here on the king side. The king side is the focus of the game right here. Okay, and let's see what Morphy does now. Okay, he takes the rook, right? He takes the rook, and now you got the queen taken back, folks. What do? When the queen takes back, you hit him with your rook. You take over the file. Remember what I said? The queen can't trade, right? Now, interesting enough, looks like plugging F5 works still. The whole masters don't even mention it, right? They don't even mention it. Now, Shredder says the take. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Look, you take. He takes back again, folks. Don't take this way. You lose him. And you got this guy, protected pass pawn. Black would have to take there. All right, and I don't know. Can White take advantage of, you know, the king side attack in any way? I don't know. It looks to me like he can. It looks to me like he could hang in there. Now, what if he trades? Right? If he trades, he takes the pawn. He gets the pawn there. Blocks this up. All right, knight's going to maneuver. Queen coming down. We're doing it quick. All right, mate threat. Okay, he's got to come back. All right, protect that F6. That's your bread and butter. I don't know. Why king out? We got the knight coming F4. We can all see it, right, folks? He can, a matter of fact, all right, I see the plan. Here's White's plan. Light square bishop versus the knight. Where's White's outpost, folks? We got a beautiful one on E5, right? So now the knight's going to swing to F4, or maybe C1, F4. He's going to threaten E6 with knight F4. Then he's going to maneuver. All right, he comes here, right? You could go here, and then plant that guy right on there. Look at the beautiful knight, right? It's just an idea quick. Can you tactically get it there? I don't know. Maybe there's ways Black could fight against this, but looks like a plan, simple plan for White, right? Improve your knight versus the bishop. Okay, the fight between the battle of the minor pieces, right? You got to get your knight to be better than that bishop. Now the bishop's blocked by his own pawns. He's just a big pawn over there on g6. So I don't know. Look at this. Maybe he's threatening to win that bishop. Matter of fact, with h5. Okay, there you go. You hit there. You put some pressure on that backward e pawn. He can't come up. Right? Oh, he wins this guy. Okay, he's figured out a way to win him. Well, all right. So it's still a fight, I guess. You know, you'd like to get that knight on e5. He's gonna attack e6. E6 is black's weakness. Right? Here he goes, folks. Shredder sees it. He's doing like I said. There you go. Look at this. Oh boy. All right, he's gonna have to. He can't take. Oh, maybe he can take there with the queen. They trade queens then. He could win that pawn. Let's see, it'll be 2-4-5 against Dart 5. He's down a pawn, white, so he'd be winning that back. There's things like this that I'm looking at. Now look, see, now you're threatening the rook. You got your knight sunk right on that beautiful outpost that the bishop can't do anything about. It's a dark square e5, right? But his rook comes down to c2, and he's got a very good rook. And now the scope of that bishop is good, you know. So that might not be great. If it looks drawish. And so you don't want to trade queens. And if he trades with the check, he takes the pawn. They take here, but now he's not on e5. He blocks that from the rook. But all right, so it's a fight. It's another way to go. Knight versus bishop. But now maybe the best is to take, like Shredder says. Look at this. We're piling up on e6. Black's weakness, backward pawn. But he's got it covered by king, queen, and rook. And we got all our pieces attacking that e6 pawn. And now he even has the bishop defending it. So it's very tough. Looks drawish. It shows white having an edge, though. Now, if you would try to sink him in there, look at what I would think bishop takes. There you go. You can't let that knight get into that optimal square onto e5, right? That's a beautiful outpost for the knight on the dark square. You can't do it. All right, he goes here, right? Why would he do that when we can pin him, right? And he would pin us. Pretty crazy. Look how he bailed himself out. See that? The tactics don't always jump on it, because there's ways, you know, you can make mistakes here. I don't know, queen and pawn endgame. Looks like black's gonna win the b pawn, or he's gonna trade off his weakness there. All right. So anyway, probably a draw at that point. But you see the battle that takes place. Knight versus bishop. You're trying to get that knight on e5, the outpost. You end up losing your f pawn there. There could be better moves for both sides, you know, but there's just one way it could go. So anyway, how did we even get... Okay, yes, these lines show that black was still in it, in my opinion, right? Shredder finds they just plug it up again with knight to f5. You can still do it, but what does Anderson do? Well, he moves the queen. And white now controls the f file, right? Okay. Here comes queen to h4, threatening the knight on e7. Okay. Now he throws the knight here. But now the move is bad, as Morphy promptly shows. All right, now, the thing I was thinking about once again, I was thinking about this, and after going over the end of this game, I think some of Morphy's ideas, we could utilize them. Look, on this move, right, we got the rook coming over to the F file, and Anderson moved his queen. But once again, I touched on, whoa, look, looks like he could even do this, right? So if he takes, the idea Morphy does is he grabs this diagonal, right, supporting the bishop diving into the outpost, F6. All right, so here you go. You take Schroeder's ideas to move, right? Well, now he's coming up with king here, but look, we did this before, right? Now, we're going to bring the rook. We're going to have a rook lift to G3, okay? That's the idea. And then to F3, and look, let me just show you. We're going to go here and here, see? Go to G3 to pin that bishop. Okay, now, right now, as we speak, if he takes, which he did when I went over this, if he goes over here and he takes, we take back with the pawn, right? And he covered, yes, he blocked up the G file, and then you had something, yes, the knight came back. The queen comes up attacking G2. We go for mate on G7. Okay, and he decides to bring this guy back. Can he bring the rook up here like this? Maybe he can do that. That could be an alternative. So there might be better moves. I don't know. But this is what it did when I played. And this is very similar. I think we went, I'm not sure if this is exactly the same load. It looks like it's transposing. See, we're going to threaten that bishop. We had that F pawn on F6, right? He hits the queen. We draw it back. He captures with the king. He gets that pawn. Then we did this check. He goes back. The knight leaps in. The knight leaps in. We're going after E6. We're putting pressure on E6. He brings this up. Now, forgive me. It might be very similar to the other line, but there was something interesting that crops up. See, we're teaming up on that bishop over there. Before, there was this pawn push attacking the bishop, but now it likes the rook over. Okay, it's funny how this game is in the engine. It finds different things. Why, I can't tell you, like the order of things, but I guess they're both good moves. Let's try this one. Let's see what he gets this one, but we get that one, right? And now our queen protects our rook over there, right? He comes down with the check. Pretty crazy here. What do we got? He's going there. I'm coming up here. You can't check anymore, folks. Then we take them out, right? The little pawns. All right, so he's forcing the trade of queens, I guess. Take. We move back to the outpost with check. He goes back, and how much of a lead is this, folks? I got glare on the screen. I think it's over 2, right? I mean, we got the minor piece. All right, looks like he's gonna win our B pawn though, right? I don't know. Let's see. He goes here. He wins the B pawn. Looks like he's gonna win the A pawn. He takes the A pawn. We're capturing pawns. He's capturing pawns. I don't know. Why not go after the B pawn? No, go after the D pawn. He comes up to protect. We give the check. He attacks the rook. We go there. There we go. There you go, folks. Now we win the B pawn. He's got this one, but our G pawn stops it. Hey, look at this. We're going to attack that guy. All right, he goes after the king. He's harassing us now. He goes after our G pawn. We give the check. Moves back. Trade him off. There you go. But now we only have... we only have that D pawn, folks. That could be a potential queen. That's all we got. If black trades the rooks, we can't mate with just a knight and king. So I don't know. Can white get a win here? Actually, the evaluation puts white up +4, I believe. Again, there's glare on my screen. Let's see what happens. Is the check? I guess we're going to bring our king up with mate threats, right? There goes that pawn, right? Would he want to do that? Here, he could do this one. We're going to win that one anyway, right? We're going to win the D pawn, I guess. All right, let's see. He goes there. We take. All right, and all of a sudden we're up. We're up pretty nice here. we could get the king to d6. I mean, we're threatening mate, right? Back rank mates. All right, he's got one square right here. Look at this. Look at this, folks. Here he goes, right? We won the pawn. We won the A pawn. All right, so we do. Look at that. We took care of all those black pawns, and we have our D pawn still. So I mean, and we have our knight, right? There's no contest. We got this one in the bag. All right. Now I know the master's looking at this and he's laughing. He's a white-hatted all along, I'm sure, right? The grandmaster, he can see it from a mile away. I don't know. Endgames are tough. So there's just one way. I mean, it could go a dozen other ways, right? Maybe black could hang in there, but you get the idea. You see, here's what. Let's see. On this move, okay, the black queen's attacking the F pawn, the H pawn here, right? Now you can do a couple of ideas here. One is to just push the pawn up, attacking that bishop, right? Where's he going to go? H7, and or as Shredder's showing here, you can attack the bishop directly with the rook and the knight already, right? Pile up. I mean, either one attacks the bishop, right? Let's see what you go here, and I mean, okay, queen H8, and how do you save that bishop, right? How do you protect him? Where can he go? He can't go anywhere, right? Because I mean, the king doesn't have a square to go to, folks. Notice the queen takes away all the black possibilities for that black king to go, right? All the possibilities for the black king to go, and the knight and pawn take away that one square left, right? The king can't move. So the only real option is to, all right, he wants to throw in the check, I guess. And you don't want to come here, right? The queen checks. I guess the knight goes back. Right, the queen checks, knight goes back. And here you go. He goes to save his bishop. And realize our pawn is hanging, right? Our H5 pawn, very key. So you would take here, I guess, right? Maybe you could bring this over, but if you do this, he could throw the rook on H1, I think. Right, there you go. See? This is a kamikaze rook, right? To force the king to take no other move, which now leaves the white rook unguarded. See that? So he wins the rook right back, and he's protecting that bishop on G8 with the queen, and the rook's gone. So, I mean, the white queen was threatening either, checking here, or the rook coming down the check, taking this with the queen. That's what this is what white's threatening right here. Look. He moves the rook to G3. Looks pretty dangerous, right? Queen takes bishop next, check. And then the rook could come down. All right, but anyway, there's the tactical tricks, folks. You got to know them, right? Okay, so rook to G3 is no good. So I guess taking here is better. Looks like... maybe rook to F4 is trouble now. Let's see. What if here, rook to F4? All right, he's going to want to trade, I guess. What if we throw the knight G5 check? Does that do anything? I guess not, right? Still close. Still close. What happens with this? All right, he goes there. And then we got to take, right? I guess we got no choice. All right, well, anyway, that's not really getting us anywhere. So after this, rook down. What do we got? Trade the rooks. All right, he gets that. He trades. Right, because, look, we're contesting the file, folks. We're fighting for the C file now. If he moves that rook, we're coming down, right? If he moves anywhere like here, let's say we're coming down, folks, penetrating on the 7th, giving check, right? Threatening this. I guess he'd move this up, right? Then we can go here, and he's in trouble now. See? Look how quick. There you go. Right? All right. So anyway, when you go here, he's got to take. He just can't let him take over. Right? And they're going to want to trade. We got our H pawn. We're threatening to come down on G6. He comes back. Here we go. We go on G7. Okay. Queen back because if he blocks, right, now the knight check comes. Is that really doing? Oh, well, I guess we get into position, or this guy, oh, this guy's coming right down. He's coming down. What could he do, folks? Look at this. Look at this. Threaten the bishop. Right? He wins the piece. If he takes, right, we could take with check. If he moves, for, you know, what are you going to do? We take it, right? I was going to say go in with check. Look at this. Yeah, take. Why not, right? Then you go in. Then you go in. You get your queen. Look at this. Look, he already has to take, and you take him back. Look at that, folks, right? Beautiful stuff. All right, you get the knight. You get him out of there. He's not trapped. Don't worry. He'll get out. Right? Coming where, folks? Right here. Going to the outpost on E5. All right. But anyway, what did I do there? I think I gave it to white with a silly move by black, right? Oh, yeah. He wants king back because if he blocks, the knight leaps right in. Okay. And that's what we just looked at. So we go down. Okay. I don't know. This comes up. Goes a check. Again, if he blocks, can we do this, folks? Look, get our knight up there like before. We're a step behind. Look at that. We can't do it, folks. See, he grabs our knight. We're a step behind. All right, so we can't do that idea. All right, we go here. We're gonna march that. We're marching that pawn down now. That's the next move, I think, right? I don't know what this does. We can't check because the queen takes. All right. All right, there we go. We got a +2 edge, right? +2 and change. Okay. So I know I'm exhausting that. I was just curious, though. I saw something that I think he even took, when I was going over this on the pawn push, he even took. He just gives us that guy. And we would have to, already takes, yeah, look at this. What's he really going to do now? That's +3 for white. I mean, come on. We got the knight. All right, that doesn't work. So, all right. So it turns out that, you know, white gets the better. Very similar to what we looked at. I remember that the pawn on F6. I'm doing this in 2 sittings, so I'm a little, it's been a day or so when I was going over the first half of this game. So I can't remember exactly if it was exactly what we found. I think back in at this point when Shredder suggested putting the bishop here now, you know, we had similar type of positions. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it. We got rook over. Anderson not throwing the knight there. He moves the queen. Okay, now we put the queen up. Right, queen up, attacking the knight, as I said. The knight leaps in now, right? Okay. So the knight leaps in, and like I said, but now the move is bad, as Morphy promptly shows. I know I'm repeating myself, but we're catching back up to where we were. Okay, so here's what happens. Morphy takes the knight. Pawn takes back. Remember, don't do something dumb like this, and you drop this guy, and you got to protected pass pawn. Here you go. He takes this way. And now rook up. Rook lift, folks. This was the idea it gave me before when we were going in the other line. Here we go. Morphy plays rook up. And now Anderson with the bishop to b5. Trying to get this guy in the game. Okay, now it says Steinitz calls this and Black's 20th move flagrant errors of positional judgment. Okay, here we go, right? We move rook to g3. Okay, Anderson's feeling the pressure. He brings his rook to c7 to protect along the rank, right? To help out that bishop over there. And sure enough, here we go. Morphy putting the bishop in the outpost there, on the outpost, in the outpost, I don't even know. F6, right? So now this guy's pinned. The bishop on g7 is pinned. Now get a load of this one. Anderson throws the pawn up to harass that rook on g3. Okay, now, look at this. Here's a suggestion. A beautiful variation now takes place. They say if king over to get out of that pin, right, of the rook, well, now white would utilize the pin of the bishop. Look, he can't take this guy because he's pinned to the bishop now, right? He can't move off this diagonal now, so he can't even take the queen. So now white's threatening to win that bishop, right? For instance, you just do the math. Look, you take, he takes, and it's checkmate, right? All right, so he needs another piece to defend. So here they go. They give it right there, like Shredder finds. Queen to f8, okay? Now, the knight takes the bishop. Pawn takes back. Okay, the queenside pawns are busted. These isolated B pawns for black, right? Not good in an endgame. And you're going to see how it affects black's position now. Look at this. You got the trade-offs now come. Rook takes bishop. Rook takes rook. Okay? Now remember, this rook is now pinned on g7 by the white bishop. Okay, so the king comes out. Now the queen maneuvers. He can't do anything. He's tied up in a knot, black, right? Here we go. Because again, the rook can't move. The rook cannot move. Okay, so nothing else to be said there. The king comes out. The queen comes up to f7. Okay, now the king moves up to e3. Here comes the queen to try to just get this, untangle himself. So he's threatening the white queen. They trade, right? Here comes pawn takes. Now that rook's still pinned. King over to d3. He's running to the queen side if you haven't figured it out. Now the king moves. He's got to catch up. But now that the rook is not in the pin anymore, white has to take, or he'll never get him. Then the rook will leave g7, and it'll be a rook and bishop endgame. You don't want that, right, folks? So the bishop takes, of course, king takes back, and now it's a king and pawn. And all right, and now you have king to c7. And now you can see he's 2 steps away from killing that b pawn, right, on b5. And look at where the black king is. But amazingly, king and pawn endgames. I mean, all the notes leave it right here. All masters just say king to c7, etc. Right? And it looks obvious that the white king's going to gobble those pawns, and white's got an easy endgame, but it's not that easy. King and pawn endgames will make your head spin, and this is a perfect example. Now, Shredder came up with this move. Look at this. He plays the f pawn to f4, right? Now, you're going to kill that. Your whole plan focused on killing those pawns, and then you're marching your A or B pawn up the board, right? Probably the A pawn, because your king's going to be on the B file, and you don't want to even have to waste the tempo moving your king. You just launch the A pawn straight on through, right? Once you take care of these pawns. But look at this now. Watch this. Look at what happens. Let's say you take, right? You take the pawn, and look at this now, folks. He brings this up. Now, another important thing to note, if white was to just stay with his plan to try to eat up this B pawn, look at what happens. Black advances these 2 pawns side by side, and then you take this one like your plan suggested, right? You're so focused on eating those pawns up. Look at what happens to you. Now, you move the pawn that's not challenged. See the F pawn, folks? Once they're side by side, right? Once they're side by side, you push the one that doesn't have any challenges. See, there's no white F pawn. So by coming up, he's threatening to march on through, right? Or even take and march on through. But you see, There's no pawn to block him. He can just walk on in. So white has no choice. He's got to take, and then the one backing him up takes back, and lo and behold, he's got a passed pawn on the F-file now, ready to go in 2 moves. Too late, dummy. Look, too late. There you go. And then this guy, he's a few moves away, but look, the queen quickly, all right, he'll eat it up. If you try to protect it, all right, no luck. He's not getting anywhere with anything now. King's going to go over there, and the king could, look at it, the king could just gobble this up, I think. Let's make sure this works. I don't want any of those stalemates occurring. Look, he goes down. He's going to march the pawn up, right? Hold on. Maybe I played this wrong. Okay, if we don't kill the pawn, oh, I see. If you don't kill the pawn, or it's stalemate, right? But you use that white pawn, the H pawn, to your advantage. Look, now white has a move. The only move on the board, he could advance that guy. You reposition the queen. He could advance that guy again. Now it's mate. See that? So, there's little tricks to the end game, folks. I mean, come on. How many games would you save? How many times would you make that little blunder? You're chopping off this guy and then it's stalemate, right? You got to watch. What else do you do, right? What else can you do? You got to watch those rook pawns, you know? And I think the bishop pawn, too, is sometimes stalemate possibilities for the defender. All right. But anyway, those you pick up. There's one. The wing pawns you got to watch with those stalemate ideas that white tried to pull there. But black has it in the bag, and what I originally was trying to point out is you got to watch your opponent making a pass pawn. Look at this. Okay, so what does white have to do to stop this? All right. You got to redirect your attention over there to what your opponent's doing. You're going after the pawns, right? You got one. Now he moves the G pawn up. You got to stop him. You got to stop him. You got to put a light square blockade. See how this works? Now you control the light squares. See? And he can't move either pawn without the help of his king. All right, so now he moves the king up. Now let's say you stick to your plan, right? You gobble this guy up. He comes over. Now you launch your pawn, right? Now he takes your G pawn. And now he launches, let's see, I think you don't want to gobble that one. I think you want to march your guy down quick to meet the, there you go. You get your queen first. He gets his queen. And look at the evaluation. Looks like a draw. I don't know, folks. I don't know. Is he going to take first take on this? All right, but either way, still a lot of tricks probably in this position, but the evaluation turns out to be a draw. White has better. He has better, so why let this happen, right? It's still a fight. So, the key is, after this F4 move, this is a great move by black. If he tries to go back to help out, well, that just lets the black king come up. And what's the point of you watching your king all the way over there, right, folks? What was the point? After the exchanges on G7, right? Your whole plan was to get your king over there. So let's stick to the plan, right? Here comes F4. You go up, right? Okay, let's see if he tries to make that pawn. You gotta guard against that threat. That idea of creating a pass pawn on the F file. All right. So now he moves his king up. Now, if you take, all right, this is the whole thing. Look, if you take, and then he comes up. If you go after this one, you lose. So why don't we go after the other pawns? We go after this E pawn, because the furthest pawn, white pawn we have advanced is that E5 pawn, right? So maybe this works, right? So then he takes now. Okay, you take this one too, and he goes in, and you go in. He goes, touchdown, right? And here we go again, right? Who scored first, though, folks? Look, it's fourth quarter. Look closely. Who scored first? Black, right? Now white goes in, okay? And it gives black a move to, try to, I don't know, complicate things. He's only got 2 pawns to your 4, but he's got the move right now. And look, so white has even better. White has better, folks. End game, it's crazy. You got to look at every move. Now watch and learn here. We'll take it back right from that point, right? Crucial moment. Here you go, F4, good idea for black. He's trying. Here comes white with his plan. Uh-oh, watch out for this trick. H3, okay, now the black king's coming up. Now, you don't take the pawn, dummy. You don't take the pawn. Save that move. That guy's not going anywhere. Right over to your idea. Remember, E5, the most advanced white pawn. Let's help him out. Look at this now, you take. He moves. All right, take this guy. Okay, he takes you. You march, you march, you march. Who goes in for a touchdown first? Fourth quarter, look at this. White. Now black goes in. One move behind. You see, you saved your tempo, folks. You saved your tempo. Okay, you didn't bother taking the B pawn with the king. So now you got to move. Now you got to move. Now it's still complicated. But white has a slight edge. You come down, I guess you protect this one, right? Already tries checking you. You block. Okay. Maybe he's going to try this all day. You know, I don't know. Something like this. Well, then you just block there and you force the trade of queens, which is good for white because, okay, he loses this one, but look, we got that one, and he's got this one. And here we go. And the race continues. Touchdown! Touchdown! All right. All right, white scores first. And look at this. He slides over. Look at this trick to remember, folks. Forcing the black king off this file, right? He's got to move, right? He moves. Check again. Trade him off. Then you go march over here now, right? And look where the black king is now. Forget about it, right? Now here he comes, right? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? He's going to go after whatever he does. He's got nothing. Why go here? Why now you can't even go after the pawn. Look. I'm following it to a T. Maybe I should think a little, right? You always got to think in this game. Don't even worry about him taking this guy or going. He's behind, right? He can't win the foot race, folks. The pawns are quick enough to outrun the king, right? There you go. And you got it, right? Simple enough. Simple enough. All right, so, you know, black could, that's the whole advantage where it lies is obviously at this point, you know, white scores first, right? And he gets his queen first and he can move now, right? And he, you know, I guess he comes down here to protect the H pawn. He's got 4 pawns to 3. I mean, this could be crazy. Maybe, you know, he could be a nuisance now. We just looked at if he went here. It's a mistake because they force him off, right? And then turns out that white is lucky enough to be able to win it. He wins the other foot race, and then he can easily kill the 2B pawns finally, right? So, all right, he stops this. I guess is there any more checks, right? No. If he tries this one, we know what happens, right? So, what does he do? All right, he moves here. I guess he's going for this pawn. Here we go. Now we get a check in. I don't know. It's crazy. Not much of an advantage. So it's really not as simple as it seems. I mean, this is crazy about this game. So I don't know. You guys, maybe you work it out. Leave in the comments. You know, if you found a better move for white in that end game. It's not so cut and dry. I mean, look, now he loses this. All right, white's, how about this? If white goes here, and he takes, and then you start trying to march this one. Well, now he's gobbling up your pawns over there. You gobble up this one, he takes that one, you check. He moves. The pawn is pinned for the moment. Your white pawn, right? You just keep checking like a madman, I guess. Trying to you try to pick up one of those pawns over there on the B file, I guess. Here we go. Is there a way to do it, though? Is there a way to do it? Not really, because this guy's in the way. Your own pawn. See, you would have been able to grab this one, at least, but... Alright, here he goes. Oh, the queen, okay. The queen maneuvered to be able to protect your pawn. So now the king gets out of the way. so that the queen can't gobble it up, right? She was aiming at your pawn. I mean, I don't know, you go here, or here comes the pawn marching. I don't really think he could get it. I think the queen could constantly check. So you gotta, although you gotta watch. You gotta watch for the block and check and trade, force the trade, and then white's pawn is only 2 moves away. We're doing this quick, so if it really means anything. Right up, he checks here, and he picks up. Where's black want to go on that one? Wants to go there. You could. That's pretty foolish because now you can take, and you could take. Can you? You can take this one, right? Can't you take that one? Let's see. You go back to the block. He goes here, right? He pins it. Okay, he pins it. So now you protect it. So you could move your king off, right? And he checks. And he checks. That's the important thing. King to c6. There's no queen checks. All right, important. He pins the pawn. All right, but now we're going to get our queen down. I think we could go down to, can we go down here to protect our pawn? He gets the check in. He's getting those checks. Here we go. We block the nuisance, right? He checks again. Do they run out? Do they run out, folks? He's gonna swing the king back, the queen back. Yeah, either here or here. The check. So what if we advanced? Now, do we ever get out of? Do we have any relief, folks? I don't know. I don't think, maybe we can't. Let's see. I would think you check here, right? Because if he comes to block, you win the pawn, right? So if he checks here, then you could block, right? Oh, he checks there, but then you block, and then he goes here, and yeah, he might be able to constantly. Oh, wait a minute. If you go here, oh, it doesn't work either, right? I'm looking to check to block it like this, and then you get, you force the trade. So it's starting to look to me like you can never get out of these checks. Right? How about this? Right? He goes there. Goes up. He goes there. That's the thing about this. All right, now go all the way back. Shredder had a different move. Maybe that's why. Right? So on this, he went here before. And if we move him there, if he checks, we go this way. I think we're gonna push the pawn next. So and he pins it. Damn it! There might not be anything, folks. I don't know. That queen could check like a madman, I would say, or I should say, mad woman. Okay. It's a check. Maybe we can't move the pawn up because it's pinned. All right. Here's a lesson. I know the masters are probably going, what's the guy doing? He's wasting time. He can't do it. You can't do it. But maybe there is a way. I just don't know. Okay. Now where are the checks? If I go there, he pins. He pins. The 2 resources for the defending queen is to check like crazy or pin the pawn. And that might be enough to, always keep this. How about if you go you try to block the check. Now he can't, after a block like this, he can't block here. He can't check here because we always advance and then block. See, and we promote. So he doesn't have that resource, but he could check here. And now, when we go here, he's going to pin the pawn, right? There you go. He pins. That's all he could do. The checks ran out. How do we set this up now? I guess we go here, right? We protect our pawn. Move the... And he's gonna pin it over there. He's gonna pin it over here. It's like an endgame bonus, folks. I don't think we should get this damn thing. I don't think we could do it. This is crazy. Okay. Okay, he's gonna check. We're gonna block. He's gonna check. We're gonna block. Damn, we can't block with a check to trade him off. That's what we're trying to do, but he pins it. All right, I mean, look at the evaluation. The evaluation has white up by 10, right? Because it's really counting that pawn as an extra queen. But I don't know if he could ever get this damn thing. This is where you need the grandmaster advice. They just know it, you know, folks. They just know this end game. There must be a way. It really feels like you can do it. Now, if it was I don't even know if it's a difference if the pawn was on the B file or G file. I'm so curious now, you know. Forgive me for taking the time, but it is something interesting, right? You got to admit. He just keeps pinning that pawn or checking the king. All right, maybe that's like a homework. You know what I'll even do? I'll look at it a little closer. I'll let the engine run, and maybe he could figure it out, you know. But I'll look it up in my endgame book. I should have done that, but I stumbled upon this now, you know. So again, this is the look. Put it this way: whether there's a way to do it or not, you know the technique involved. Very hard. So, I mean, forget it. If you're under 2,000 and you're playing in a tournament, good luck. Good luck to either side, the defending side or the one trying to promote, right? I mean, this takes massive technique, grandmaster level knowledge and technique. I mean, all right. So this bottom line is it's not as cut and dry, right? It's not as easy as they left it off. Like, once again, just what I said, after this, king to c3 looks like white's got it in the bag. He's going to eat those queenside pawns, but not so quick. I mean, I can't believe this. Right now, what if you go here and attack that guy, right? If he advances, too bad, because now the king goes here and he's in the square of the pawn. There's no way he's going to be able to catch him. Now, if he tries to protect him with G4 next, right, folks? For instance, if he tries to go, he'll protect it. Forget it. That's no good. Can't have that. So you don't want to run. You don't want to run over and then have him just defend him. And now the F3 pawn is a protected pass pawn. And now forget it. You can't even advance this guy. Oh wait, can you? Yeah, maybe you can. Look, you gobble him up. And then he's coming over there, and you're going to gobble up. All right, he gets one, you get one, right? But all right, look, why make it hard for yourself? Because you don't want to, you don't have to, when you go here, if you challenge him, maybe this is the answer, damn it. You know, it's amazing. One move, and now it changes everything. Okay, if you challenge him, I didn't think of this idea. All right, he advances, right? So now you got to get over there. If you do something foolish, you're not going to be able to get him in time, right? So you got to come over. And now whether he tries to advance this guy or bring the king over, right? He's a dead duck. He's a dead duck, and he just lost the game for sure. Now you got two on the king side against one, right? If he on the challenge here, he goes ahead. You go over to stop him. If he tries to advance, right, to protect that guy, all right, you stop him cold in his tracks. And now, look at the beauty of that move. That stops the black king, right, from coming up in any way, right? He can't do anything on the king side anymore after this move. So, what's he going to do, right? This guy's dead. Now, if he's got to stay on the king side also, because look at what's going to happen. If he tries to go over to the queen side, because he's got no future on the king side, right? He figures he'd go over here. He's just wasting his time, because, you know, we're going to have this going on over here. 2 against 1, right? Oh, look at that. We just passed. Now we'll have to babysit this side forever, and now we can walk over. And there's nothing he can do, because if he ever leaves here, the H-pawn walks in 3 moves, right? Okay. So there you have it. There goes the... unbelievable, right? All the craziness. This is why the end game will drive you mad. Look, this one move. All right, we got to try this now. This is no good. He loses automatically. If he takes, you take back. All right. And you know what I see? Let's see. If he tries to advance, once he does that, you close off the king side. There you go. Boom. He can't do anything. He can't advance. He can't come here or here. That's it. He's got nothing left, and you come over, you gobble him up. 2 against 1 on the queen side now, right? He could save this guy, but big deal. You got the 2 of them, and you prove it right here, right? He's going to try to be a nuisance. Matter of fact, we could actually, we don't even need the A-pawn. If he tries to go here, right? What else can he do to protect this pawn, right? He can only go there. If he advances, he automatically loses it, right? If he comes up to try to hold on to the pawn, well, now we do this guy, right? And he can only go up. We got this move, and now that's it, right? We got one little tempo to save with the A-pawn, and then we gobble him up. See that? Okay. Now, if we didn't have the A-pawn, look at this. What would we have to do here? What can we do, folks? We'd be in trouble now. Because after he goes here, where do we go, right? Let's pretend the A-pawn's not there. Good thing to know. Look at this. We can't go here because the pawn. And once we move either here or here, he takes our pawn. See that? And then he would be the one with the passed B pawn. It would be all over, right, for us. Good thing to know. The pattern is this: when the two pawns link up, right? The king that enters this pattern here, this little rectangle, the king who enters last wins. See? Because now the other guy's forced to relinquish the protection of his pawn. He's got to move, right? If it was black's move right now, right? If it was black's move after this, he would have to give up the black pawn. He can't go here because of the white pawn, right? Covers C7. He'd have to either march here, or he'd have to go over here, and he'd lose his B pawn. See that? Oh, he can't go there. He would have to move here or here, right? So the king who moves last into this little rectangle with the two pawns, right? They win. The person who enters last wins. The other guy has to move off the defense of his pawn, and then the other guy wins it, right? You win it, he wins it, whatever. All right, good little patterns to pick up. Okay, so going all the way back, I'm arming you folks. Don't you understand? I'm giving you the artillery, the knowledge to go to war, the weapons. All right, so here it is, G3, right? What does he do after that? Look at this guy. He's trying to pull you away, right? So now he moves. Now you're out of the square. Look at this. You're out of that square, folks. No way you could get in it, right? This square of the pawn, they say. If you go here, you're still out of the square of the pawn. Now the square of the pawn is real small. It's these 4 little boxes, right? You can't get there by C3. Closest you could get is D2. That's the square of the pawn. This B4 move is a little tricky move. He's trying to really, make you stumble, but you don't do it. You move. All right, now he takes. That was some move. Now look at this. Wait a minute now. Now your king is out. Look, he can't even get over to that. He's gonna have to go to C2 and then come up to B3. All right, so now, but look at this. Now the king's coming over here, and he's going to harass your pawn. Can you believe it? The end game, folks. Okay, wait a minute. So now you come over here, and he's coming up the board. He's further up the board than you are. Look at this. All right, so now what can you do with these pawns, right? It looks like a draw to me, folks. Look, if he takes, all right, you're going to force the take, else he's going to march on in, right? You got to take. You take, and now he's got a move in the bag, and so do you now with your A pawn. So I don't know. Let's see. He goes here. All right, you got that move to burn. Now this guy's stuck. At this point, you know, he goes here, and now it's just they got to shuffle around on the king side. And you see what happens is in this position right here, as white, you got to go to G2 when the black king is on G4. See, the black king goes to G4, king G2, and that's basically how you hold the draw now. Because the king goes back up, you come up here. Let's just try it again. Look, you come back. He tries to jump in G4. Okay, there you go. See, you have to have it where the king can't come up because you're king, and he can't move over here or here because of the pawn, so he's basically got to retreat back. Okay, now if you did something like this, I'll show you the difference now. We got this move, okay. If the king was to just go to G2 and let black take the initiative, see, they're opposed to one another. Now, look at this. Now white has to give ground. Where does he go, folks? If he goes here, black goes on this side. Okay? If he goes the other way, black goes to this side. See? And basically what's going to happen, look, he has to the only square to keep his pawn, right? To come up. All right, he moves here. And now, whatever you do, if he moves back down, the pawn keeps the king from defending over here, and the black king keeps the king from going. He's got to relinquish defense, right, of the pawn. There you go. He has to give it up, right? If he decides to move the pawn up, well, now he just could go here even. Instead of saying to go after this guy, right? That makes sense too. You go, but let's say you go here. And all the same, see, he has to give up the pawn. Now, one interesting thing to note, important to know in endgames, if these two G pawns were the only pawns on the board, let's say, right? Forget about all these guys over here, right? Just these two, and you got this scenario. With black going here, white wouldn't want to go, watch this, this is the trick. You want to go here so that when he takes, you take the opposition, see, directly opposed to one another, see, white king to G2. Now, no matter where he goes, you always oppose him, see, so he can't make any headway coming up. He can't go up, all right? And what would happen is he'd be forced to move the pawn. Again, the other pawns don't exist, pretend, right? It's just that G pawn. So the white king would move, stay in front of the pawn. He can't make his way up. Say he pushes up further. Straight back. Okay, king comes up. Take the opposition. If he tries to come around the other way, block that pawn. If he goes this way, go straight back. When he comes up here, take the opposition. You want to always take the opposition when he tries to make his move coming up. All right, so look. Basically what ends up happening, so he goes to do it again. Straight back from the pawn. He tries to come up, take the opposition. He's basically forced to push the pawn where now it's check. When you're on the back rank and your opponent pushes the pawn to the 7th, you want it to be check so that you could slip into the square in front of it, and boom, there you go. It's a draw because the only way to keep protecting the pawn is to go here, and that's a stalemate. See, the white king can't go anywhere. All right, so that's good to know. So this is a little defensive pattern in the end game. If your opponent ends up winning the pawn from you, okay, you keep him out with the opposition. See, you don't let him get in front. So here's an example. Let's say you're dumb and you go here and he takes, right? Now he took the opposition with the capture. See? And now you have to give way. It's your move. So if you go this way, he goes that way, right? And then he marches the pawn in, okay? If you go this way, he goes that way, and he marches the pawn in, okay? Boom, 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 boom. Remember what I said with check? Now watch this. He goes here. Let's say you go, where would you want to go? You go here, boom. Okay, now you go here. He checks you. I guess you could try for this, and if he checks you, then there you go. You got it. But what he do, if he checks you, you can go down. Now, if he comes up, all right, pretend these aren't here, right? That's stalemate also. Okay, so white could try some tricks, but if black plays correctly, white cannot hold off. Once he makes this mistake of giving, your opponent the opposition, if you go over here, he takes this side. If you go in the corner, he could come here, and let's say wherever he goes, right? You check, he comes back. Let's see, if you go there, he's going to go down, so you check him. You go there. Oh yeah, if you check him, he's going to go in front. Holy cow, wait a minute. I'm losing my mind. Too much of these king and pawn games. Let's do this again. He goes this way, you go that way, right? All right, he comes up. All right. You can't go down yet because then he goes up and grabs you, right? So you give the check. He comes back. I guess you gotta go down. And that forces him down. There you go. That's it. He would have to go here. No square up here. Pawn controls H3. He had to go down. Now you go up, right? And now his only square is now to move here. And now you go, I guess you go here, right? And he can go back in the corner. Okay, if he goes back in the corner, you push. Now, folks, your only square for white is to go here. And you push to the 7th without check. Now you got the square. You could go here, and then there you go. There you go. All right. It's been a long time, folks. And there you go. And you get your queen, right? There it is. Okay? Oh, boy. Oh, I'm a bit rusty, I admit. Right? So you got to watch. You got to watch. You always end games. I told you, less pieces, more complicated. Right? He's trying to get you. He's trying to get you in a stalemate. But what you got to do is you got to get him out of that corner. Okay? So when you go there, if he goes back trying for some kind of stalemate. Now, if he goes here, let's see. If you check, he's gonna. Let's see. I know you can just win like this because you take over these 3 squares, right? 1, 2, 3 for the pawn. You're gonna support your pawn coming down. He can't go after it because the pawn controls F3. So he has to just back off, and you walk him right in, see? No matter what he does, right? You walk him right in with the support of the king. That's what you're aiming for, folks. This is like basically, the position that you're aiming for with king and pawn endgames, to be able to escort your pawn in. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's what you're trying to shoot for. You got to always watch. This type of thing would be stalemate without the other pawns on the board, you see? But, okay, there you go. I'm throwing in the little bonus, endgame bonuses here. All right, so anyway, because this is too beautiful to pass up. So basically, you always wait in this scenario. So if he comes up to G4, you go to G2, and that's basically it. He could go like this. He could try to do the dance here. He tried to finagle it, so you go here, ha-ha, and he's got you, right? But look, no matter what he does, he shuffles back and forth, let's say, between these 2 squares. You would just shuffle back and forth between these 2 squares. And then the minute he tries to come up, Boom. You come in here, G2, there you go. And he has to back off. All right, enough. Enough. All right, he wants to advance. You advance. Check. He goes back. And there you go. And he can't make any headway over here, right? Once he comes here, he can't come up because the pawn. Right? You can't come up either because of these pawns. By the time you get over there, let's see what happens. It's a draw, I guess, right? It's a draw. Here you go. You come up, he comes up. What are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? He can't come up. Let's say you go here, right? And then you shuffle this way. And he comes up, and then you come up. I mean, basically, he could work his way over here, right? Let's say he goes this way. And then you have to go that way, right? And now you just lost. Because I see the evaluation down. Black just lost because I see the evaluation. How can that be? He comes right. Oh, because he's gonna go for the E pawn. He's gonna go for the E pawn. There you go, and you're real close. All right, there's another doozy, right? Even if he takes this guy, you take that guy, and you get there before him, right? There you go, and you take your queen with check. Look at that one. All right. So there you go, right? You could even do something crazy like this. Look, boom. There you go. What do you care? Right? You're going right in with the next one. Okay. All right. Crazy stuff. But basically, it is a draw at this point. Black's got to just maintain that white can't come in either, you know. Over here, he stops white from coming in, so he can't get to that E pawn. And if he goes here, forget about it. I mean, they traded off. Now what, right? Can he make head? He can't make any headway, I don't think. Right? As soon as he goes to B5, he takes B7. Right? He goes there. He comes up. Tries to come over this way. He goes back. The minute he goes to B5, you go to B7. See that? So white can't get through either, because if he tries to sneak in here, black goes to C7, keeps him out of D6. That's the crucial move, right? Black has got to be careful now, because he's got to be able to take the opposition when need be. Okay, in that scenario. Look, he takes, you take. Now, he wouldn't go here because now you go there, right? And if he goes here, now he goes there, right? He goes there. All right. It gets dangerous. Now, look at the evaluation. Plus 22 for white. So, black blew it because what's going to happen, he can't take opposition here because the E-pawn. So, he's going to have to give ground. If he goes this way, you take the opposition and you're working your way towards the E-pawn, right? And there you go. You're going to eat it up. All right. After this, if he goes, I don't know, say he goes there, right? You come in. He can't take the opposition in any way. If he tries to protect, you take the opposition. You know, he tries to do this. Look, you attack the pawn. Only square to defend is here. You take the opposition. Now he's in trouble. Now he can't come up here. He has to let go of the pawn. And if he takes the opposition now, it doesn't help when you're on the back rank as the defender. Because look at this. Why? Look, folks. 1, 2. Look at this. No check. He has to go there. See that? Boom, and he gets it in. All right. That's a little different than what we were looking at. If your king is on the back rank and you try to take the opposition, like, let's see. Let's get it done here. All right. Right here, like this. Doesn't work. When your king's on the back rank, that's it. It's too late. You lost room. The pawn comes in without check on the 7th, which means it can promote. See that? Okay. There you go. But basically, going all the way back, basically, this is a draw for black, okay? Because he goes here. White tries to go. Black's got to take the opposition to box him out. Basically, he boxes him out. That's what opposition means, see? He keeps the enemy from coming in his position. See? He tries to go there. You don't have to go here. I think you can, but you go there and you time it so you go to B7 when he goes to B5. See, this is a draw now. Okay, so basically, to sum it up, basically, this was all a draw. Holy smokes, I'm tapping the button and my finger's getting tired. This is a draw, folks. They left it king to C7, etc., right? Not so simple, is it? All right, let's go back to, because this was coming from if black chose king to H8. Now look at this. That's not what Anderson does. He plays pawn to F4, attacking the rook, right? Well, Morphy grabs it. And then after he takes the pawn, you got the queen coming over now, all right? So I guess if you know, if you go in for this, mouse slip there, right? If you take, well, look at what happens, right? You lose the queen. You lose your queen. Not good. Okay, so anyway, all right. So after the capture, black moves the queen to F8. Very similar to before, but now, okay, now Morphy takes the bishop. All right, now they give a note here. The old master's spoiling Anderson's plan. Had white played queen to H6, pretty much going into what we were looking at, right? Well, Anderson planned this, bishop to D3, okay? But it did not save the game, however, for white could make a general exchange of pieces on G7 and then play knight to A4, winning, okay? So let's look at that. This is going to be quick, though, folks. Don't worry. Here we go. We take. And then knight, look at Shutter finds it. Knight to A4. Why A4, folks? Well, okay, look, he goes after your pawn on A3. Last time I did this, he moved the king, trying to get the king over, and you get a fork, right? B7 and this guy. Well, he moves there, you move the pawn, and now when he goes to move the B pawn, right, else he's going to lose B7. If he goes to move that, you win the A pawn. All right? Big deal. He goes to attack you, you attack him, right? You get out of there. And look at this. That just so happens, other than the G pawn, look at white's pawns. They're all on the dark squares. You know, safe from this guy. So they give white the edge big time, plus almost 3.5, right? So he's got that end game in the bag. But now there's a little different move now. Let's see. He tried this. I mean, yeah, there he goes. He tries to attack that guy now. Can't we just save him with A3? Right? Can't we just transpose? I mean, what's going to happen here? Right, now we go after the B7 pawn. King's coming up. Oh, he's coming to D4, right? Going after D4. Now, if he tries to take it, he can't even go there because the knight. All right. So he's keeping him out. Look at this. Check. You give up that one to take this one. Goes after you. Oh, boy. Look at this. Look at this. Now the king's blocking the bishop. The bishop can't go this way because his pawn's in the way. And the king's in the way. So he gives the D pawn. Look at this. It's going to be one square. And he wins. Okay, he wins the bishop. He wins the bishop. All right, and he's got the easy win that way. Right? Go after the A pawn. The A pawn moves. Go after the B pawn. The B pawn moves. All right, there you go. It should be a win for white, right? It's going to win somebody. Why not move this one up, trade them off, right? At least trade them. All right, well, anyway, right, we're just fooling around now because we're going to chop them all off, right? Look at this, he even sacks it. How about that? He's got to worry about the B pawn, right? He's got to get him, and you get the other one, and then you go in with the other guy, right? Here he comes. See where the king is, folks? He's escorting the pawn in. See that? 1, 2, 3. There you go. See? All right, good to know. All right, so let's go all the way back. So it doesn't save, even though Anderson's plan was to play the bishop to d3. It's still, white can still trade down on g7 and win that one with the knight against the bishop. Now the interesting thing is this move bishop to d3 is also, he's trying to play for, just do something dumb. He's trying to play the bishop into g6. So now this guy isn't pinned anymore. The rook's influence is blocked, right? So even when we trade, however you want to do it, what if you take this way, right? Now the queen's got to get out of there, see? So there you go. Like, it kind of, white's still winning, but, you know, that's an idea of the bishop. You could come back to block. You see that a lot. You block the open file. All right, so anyway, here we go. But what did, after this, remember, queen takes that pawn. Anderson put the queen on f4, f8. And now, no, Morphy didn't go in like the old masters say. He took the bishop. So it just says, spoiling Anderson's plan. Okay, now let's go through this. Now this isn't, I don't think this is even like the other variation. After the pawn takes the knight, all right, he comes in. Okay, the king tries to move over. Here we go. Looks very similar, right, folks? Here we go. We start trading down now. Okay, rook takes rook. Now that guy's pinned. Here comes the king. All right. All right, now the king moves over here. Now they trade. Okay, they trade. And now we got king to f3. All right, he tries this. He tries pawn up. He's just wasting time, really. Killing time. Here we go. We get the other pawn coming up. Now we get these side by side, controlling the all these squares, right? Controlling these squares here. Okay. And so the black king can't do anything. He comes up, right? He comes up with my fault. Let me see something. That was move after h4, right? What move? 34. Tell you, my eyes are going. Oh, there you go. Okay, all right. He pushes this one up. Not many moves to pick from. But anyway, okay. So he goes here. I guess so. The timing. He tries to do this. He goes here. I guess he's gonna keep. All right. Here's the idea. That's what it was. All right. I'm looking at it again. Once he gets these side by side, folks, he controls h5, g5, f5, right? So the black king can't come up and do anything. So he tries to go over here and start some trouble. But once he advances this guy, now it's clear that the white king could march over there and kill those pawns. Why? Because if he tries to come up and do something like this, right, with the king, right, he tries to influence this, you just advance. You advance, right? You're not going to trade and let him in and then let him eat up your H-pawn, even though you get all the way over here anyway, right? He might be able to try to come over and try to win your D-pawn while you're doing that, right? So who knows? Why make it crazy, right? Why make it complicated? You just advance, and now, all right, he's going to come in this way. But remember, he can't advance to kill this one because then this guy marches in, right? So he's a goner. This is it, right? He goes in the next move, queen. And so he's stuck there babysitting that G-pawn, the protected pass pawn. That's why protected pass pawns are so valuable in the endgame. I'm always bringing it up when we're looking at those middle games, right? So he's got to babysit that guy over there. He can't do anything, and you walk around and have a feast, right? There you go. He tries to go for this guy. No good, no good, no good. He can't do that. Come on. There you go. You get your queen. It's all over. It's all over. All right, so that takes care of that. That's the understanding, right? Once he gets these pawns up like that, all right? And that was move, again, 34, right? Okay, he tried this. All right, and then the king starts making his way to the queen side. That's how it was. And then he tried a little trick here, because if he takes this way, then he gets to advance. right? And now where does your white king? Your white king can't even get to those pawns now. See, so there's big blunders that could still be made. You understand? So now it goes. Now you turn around. Now, according to this, you still got the edge, right? You still got the win, I guess. You come in, but I mean, really, like, think about all the subtleties of this. Let's see. He goes back. Let's just check it out. He wants to go this way. He wants to do it this way, right? So, goes there. He comes in. Well, now he's lost because, let's see, no, you got to move up. Because if you do this, he's not going to take this way and you run in. Because he could simply take with the king, right? All right, come up. He goes after that deep one. Here you go. Now you're going to walk in. He's got to take. And it's a check, so you got to take back. He captures there. Can you get your queen? Can you just go in and get your queen? There you go. Check. He moves, right? And this is nothing to worry about. Look, we're going to eat up these pawns, right? There you go. Check them, harass them. Oh, you take that one. You take this one. All right, there you go, folks, right? There you go. He can't even save it. There you go. See? Simple enough. All right, so at this point, we'll go back for the record. For the record. After this, he pushes the pawn. King over. Anderson tries some trickery. You don't take it. Come on. You could still win, but don't fall for that stuff. Simple enough. A3, and there it is. Okay? And what happens? You march over there, and you take care of business finally, right? Maybe you gobble this one up. You come up. What could he do? He could do nothing, right? He can't do nothing. Now you can make a pass pawn on this side, right? You got two pass pawns on the queen side. It's all over, folks. And there's the match. I know it was a long-winded explanation, but I wanted to just explain it as best I can so it's clear. You got to walk away from these lectures with weapons and ideas and understanding how the game works. You don't just flip through the book and you see all the moves and you don't even know why they're being made. You understand? That's what this is all about, baby. All right. So you take it there. There's the champ. He takes care of Anderson, the future world champion. He takes him out 7-2 with 2 draws. All right? Not a bad job at all. Not a bad performance. All right. So there you go. On we move. On we march. The legacy of Morphy continues, right? He's still not done in Europe. He's got to rip through some other players. We'll see what happens next, all right? Thanks for staying with me all this time. I know they were long. I hope you picked up some good tactics and moves and ideas. All right. We'll get into the next match, baby. See you next time.